Hi, I'm Deborah Silverman, and I'm so excited to be able to share with you my life's work, that you're so interested in astrology, because I am passionate about it. So I've been in private practice for 37 years, and I've listened to people tell me their stories, and all my life work's about is helping you fall in love. Let's start there. To fall in love with who you are, to fall in love with this very strange planet, because it is strange being here, to fall in love with your destiny, because you can't argue with it, to fall in love with the fact that from the moment you take your first breath to the very end of the story, it's all about you. There's no divorce in heaven. You're stuck with your soul and your life and your story all the way through. So if I, and any astrologer should be the same, if I or any astrologer can assist you to understanding why you took on this life and what the assignment was and how to get specific about your life lesson, then we fulfilled our purpose. Because essentially, everyone goes through drama. Everyone has some really hard stories, especially when we're young, going through childhood and dealing with our funny assignment called our parents, and then dealing with our own issues of our self-esteem or our bodies or our health or our ability to be popular or our ability to be attractive, and then having to go make money and having to figure out how to do this life and be successful, whatever that means. And then for those of you watching, you had a spiritual calling. Somewhere in your heart, somewhere in the story, you were like, there's got to be more. And that's when the stars become our doorway to answering what is the cosmic imprint or the purpose for your being here. And there's so many ways to get to that answer. There's ways of doing it through meditation and doing it through yoga, which I bet many of you are doing. There's ways of doing it through reading and being an intellect and just really diving into the understanding from the mind. And then there's those that take the path of their heart, where they just want to have fun. That's another spiritual path that gets undervalued. To do it with kindness, to love your children, to love your spouse, to be absolutely interested in sexuality and food. There's so many different variations, and that's based on your chart. So what we're going to look at today is, where are the planets right now in 2014 to 2015? What are the trends? What are the themes? Just notice how much across time stories change. Like when our parents were growing up or their parents were growing up, they weren't sitting around watching videos talking about cosmic pictures of what's going on in the heavens. They were dealing with all the practicality of just trying to survive. And now we have this amazing abundance. Can you imagine what it was like growing up then and never being able to choose your husband or your wife, never being able to leave the country you lived in, not being able to fly across the country and see other vistas? Everything was so small and so sized by virtue of their own circumstance. And now we push a button, go ahead, push the button, and you're right here on the YouTube, on the videos, on the Facebook, and suddenly the whole world's available to you. Or better yet, you go on a computer and buy a ticket and fly yourself off to another country and come back home. This moment in time is like never ever before, and it's only getting better. However, Saturn's in Scorpio right now. It entered October 2 years ago, and it's going to leave at Christmas 2014. It goes away, and then it comes back a little bit in the winter, the fall, like somewhere January, February, March. It comes back, Saturn in Scorpio, and then it's gone. But we've had these last 2 years, 2012 to 2000, all the way to the end of 2014, where we really had to consider Scorpio conversations like, what is the nature of this reality? Why is it so confusing being alive? How do I deal with the pain of what's going on in Israel while there's this unbelievable war going on? I just heard today that the statistic is 87% of the people in Israel are voting to continue the fight. They don't want ceasefire. This is a Scorpio conversation. What part of us can live with that much pain and that much stress, and it doesn't occur to us to put our guns down? These are Saturn and Scorpio conversations. Or what part of us deals with addiction? The statistic right now of how many people in your family, friends that you have, in yourself, that deals with the addiction. It can be an addiction to the computer. It can be the addiction to your mind, food, sex, money, fixations. Everyone has this dark undercurrent in their unconscious mind. All of us do. And you study astrology, or you ask questions that we're asking here on this video of, why is it that the human psyche can't just choose to be happy? That we don't have the means to not eat what we know is not good for us? That we can't just get into our exercise regimen and do our discipline? I understand that there's a 40-day meditation that goes on in the Kundalini practice. People do a really conscious effort for 40 days to say, I am going to learn how to not something. But the 40 days is over, and back we go to our human nature, which is, I can't help but indulge. Because just being alive, it's hard. So we find the perks. What can we do to have fun? Can we go spend money? Can we go get high? Can we drink a little bit too much? Can we go swimming and get caught some dark night where no one's around and we get to swim where it says don't swim? All these funny things we do to get ourselves in semi-trouble because we're trying to entertain ourselves. But the wisdom, the high road of consciousness or spirituality, which is why you're watching this, is to find peace. And what is peace? It's the ability to accept what is. So on my radio show and the book that I'm writing, all the work that I do, I'm trying to help you, ready? Fall in love with your fate. I have this really funny song. Falling in love with your fate, falling in love with your fate, falling in love with your fate. Like you can't argue. I know it sounds kind of funny. You can't argue. You can't argue with the color of your hair, with the nature of your body type. You can't argue with what your first husband did or what your kids are doing. These are fated circumstances. What you can do, and the only thing you can do, is to seek counsel or to ask for wisdom right here between your ears. There's only one free will button. It's not about what street you're going to live on or what your mom and dad are going to look like or how many kids you're going to have. Those things are fated. But what you can do is figure out in your mind how to fall in love with what you've got. And once you can accept your fate, that's the first step. Then comes what I call the observer. And this is all of my work. Right now there's a camera on out there. You're looking at me. Well, what if you could turn that camera on you? And you could look through the camera and turn on an angle where you weren't judging yourself. So you said, okay, so let's say your personality is really water. You're a Pisces or a Scorpio or a Cancer, and you're really mushy. And you get your feelings hurt, and you want to go home, and everything bugs you, and the sounds and the smells, and you're so sensitive. What if that's you? Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. You can't change the nature of that, but what you can do is laugh at yourself. I know I feel kind of bad. My job, because I've got a lot of Sag in my chart, is to make you laugh at those things you can't change. So first comes the water people, and they really do suffer, water people. It doesn't mean just because you're a Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio that you're water. If you're relating to that feeling where you're like kind of moody and you don't really want to play and you just want to stay home on your blanket. I had a client tell me the other day, I just want to go home and take my blankie and sit in front of the television and get some favorite food, which was chocolate for her, and snuggle up. And I was like, I hear a water sign. So if that's your nature, you can't argue with that part, but you can turn on your observer, look over at that part of yourself and go, now, is my water dirty or clean? Am I suffering and complaining while I sit in the bed all snuggled up watching old movies? Or is it just because I'm choosing to give myself permission to be this way? That's the nature of my work, is permission slips. I always wanted a big stack of permission slips so I could just give them out to you and say, stop judging you. So let's say you're air. Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. They talk and they talk and they talk and they wiggle. And they have all these ideas and they're always thinking and they've got like wiggles. They have to keep on moving all the time and finding someone to play with. And they have millions of ideas and these really deep questions that they forget because they didn't write them down. And where's my purse and where's my phone? Don't ask me which one I am. So if you're air and you're one of those personality types where really you can't make decisions, like you wonder, they always ask me this, what's my life's purpose? Because you can't figure it out. Or they ask me, am I with the right partner? Or why is he so mean? Or why doesn't she love me? That honest, constant conversation about relationships. Tell me how much you like me. If you're one of those air characters, I can't change that. But I could turn your observer on and say, oh, you're doing that fickle thing again. And you fall in love in your head all day long. And men, women, doesn't really matter. You're just falling in love. And you just keep thinking about what you can do next to entertain yourself, whether it's reading something or going on the internet or getting on the phone or watching these little videos. Are we having fun yet? And oh, the documentaries, that really tickles your mind. If that's what your personality type is like, we can't change it. But we can turn the observer on and give you permission slips, here they come, to say, listen, you can't stop your mind. You're a talker. You're a thinker. You're nosy and you love these stories and you love these little videos because it makes your mind tickle. And if I give you statistics about the nature of reality, you're like, really? Wow, I never thought of that. Those people are air. That's your gift. But your challenge is it's really hard for you to be clear and decisive and keep yourself focused. Don't judge it. That's the gift of the observer. But you can have the option of discovering how to find the missing element, which we'll get to balance them out. So the first was the little mush push who's crying in the corner, who's really sensitive, doesn't want to go to the party. The second one is, where's the party? Where's the party? Where's my phone? Who could I play with? And now the third category is Earth. Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Let's slow down. Let me fix my hair. Practical. I'm going to be appropriate now. If we're going to talk about Earth people, let's get real. How much money is this astrology stuff? Is it practical? Does it make any money? Beginning, middle, end? Are you eating well? What kind of foods do you eat? Is there GMOs? Is it organic? Obsessed with practicality. And they really want to know, is their bank balanced? Are all their bills paid? How's the tires on your car? See what I mean? They're earth, they're practical. And some people say they're boring. I personally really like these characters because without them, we don't get anything done. So they come in with their spreadsheets, they have timelines, they have schedules, they have strategic planning, all of those practical details. And the challenge for these people is, do they criticize themselves? They never feel like they're doing enough. They secretly don't really think they're pretty. It's the funniest thing. Like they're always looking in the mirror and saying, oh my God, you see the lines? So they have this real fixation on wanting things to be different. It's really hard for them to fall in love with their fate. They never think they're getting enough done. They're not fulfilling their purpose, and they're certainly not helping the planet. But the truth is, from the observer's point of view, we get to the angle where I get to say to you, listen, you're doing so much. You're cleaning. You're organizing. You get so often when the closet's clean. It's like a sexy feeling when you check the things off your list. That's who you are. So you can't change it, but what you can do is accept it. And then realize that we can't live without you. I'm so thankful when those earth people come and they do the dishes. Like, boom, they can make the kitchen like magic. They have the ability to go shopping and put the food together and chop it all up in the exact little size. And they follow the recipe, and the air person's going, where did I put the recipe book? And the water person's going, can I help you? What do you need? So you put the air and the water and the earth together, you make mud. You get things done. You put an air person with an earth person, and the air person's going, what did we say we were going to do? And the earth person's going, really? Did you not write it down? So you can see the different personality types. And earth people, genuinely, they really want nothing more than to help you, be in service, and give you their advice, because they're always right. And I wouldn't argue with them if I were you. So this is the nature of earth. And with the observer around, we give them permission to be the getter-doners and the people that are on time. And we're so thankful, because these videos and all the stuff that takes care of your internet and making sure your bills are paid and making sure you're taking care of things, that's the part in all of us that loves to be efficient. And the last category is fire. Da, 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 da. They're the ones that are like bold, show off. They're loud. Aries, Leo, Sag, and oh my God, are they fun. They are waiting for the party. When is work over so we can go out and play already? They want to gamble, they want to have sex, they want to eat, they want to play, they want to turn the music up, they want to go to the movies, they want to go to the theater, and they want you to pay. They want to feel like they're so worthy, and they've got so much attention. And they have so much chi, kundalini, that really fiery yoga when you're all getting excited and your breath's coming out and you're feeling it. I love fire, can you tell? Fire people see, look what just happened. The energy just shifted. So fire people's function this life is to get you going. Get up. Chop, chop. Are we having fun yet? Not? Gotta go. Fired. They either fire you and send you away, or they fire you up and they go, whoo, let's have another one. Fire, water. Get it? So the fire element at its worst is blunt and bold, and they scare us. They're like so mean. They can't hold back, and they just, and you're like, I just asked how I looked. I didn't want to hear a whole expose on the fact that I'm fat, because they'll tell you that kind of truth. I just wanted you to tell me if you like the dress or not, honey. So they have this really low gauge on knowing where to stop, and their life lesson is knowing when to stop. At their best, they inspire us. And when the observer's on, they say to the fire person, look, you're in trouble. The observer knows you're getting in trouble. You're saying the wrong thing right now. You just got yourself into a pickle. And the real art of fire is to say sorry. Your observer kicks in, you go, I just did that thing again, didn't I? I just spoke out loud what I was thinking and you were thinking, but I should never have said. So it's permission slips in fire to be compassionate and be able to say, I'm sorry, and have forgiveness. So each of the elements, this is my life's work, a book is about to come out. Each of the elements describes personality types, and write this down, we have to have all four, like four wheels in a car. You need four, because as soon as one goes down, the car goes off. So you need to have the water, your emotions. How would you live this life without being able to fall in love? How would we ever be created without making love? That's water, the yum yum factor. How would we live without taking a breath, air? I mean, there's no way without your friends, without being able to talk, without being able to be really honest and share your stories. How boring would this be without those air people talking? And earth, for God's sake, you got to eat food. There's no way this body's going to survive the temple, the physical earth. We can't survive. The species can't survive the way we're treating the earth right now. Whether it's GMOs, whether it's the way we deal with money, whether it's the way we deal with our own practical garbage every day, we are so over the top right now. So earth is one of the big elements that I worry about. And last fire, how are we going to live without our heartbeat and the sun coming up every day and the fun factor and the orgasm? There's no way to live this life without the fun factor. I'm going home. If I didn't have fire, I'd fire this place. So obviously you need all four elements, but one of the four you're probably not that good at. Is it water? You can't cry easily. It's really hard for you to stay home and just be still and deep and meditate and be quiet and dream. Is it hard for you to find the words and be the one that goes blah, 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 blah? Oh, I'm so interested. If that's not your nature at a party, you're like, I don't want to go. That's no error. If it's low on earth and you can't do money, like practicality, really, you do suffer. You don't know how to keep the stuff clean. You don't know where you put something. You don't really care about making money. Good luck with that one. And if it's fire, you're missing passion and you're not having fun. It is really a depressing life here. So we have to have all four elements. Now, back to the situation we're in right now. Saturn's in Scorpio for these last, I really value Saturn. When you do a session with me, my simple question is, what was your agreement from Saturn's point of view? What were you supposed to learn this life? And if I can assist you to answer that question, and that's what happens in my classes, and any good astrologer will say to you, let me help you identify specifically what were you signed up for. Because no one, I really believe this. It wasn't like, oh, I hear this all the time. You create your own reality. You picked your parents. Really? If I picked my parents, I was on drugs, okay? I was definitely not conscious. I was definitely in an altered state. And I was like, I'll take those two. And then afterwards, I was like, are you kidding? No, they were an assignment. Who picks their parents? You got the assignment because you came onto this earth plane with one intention. I'm going to tell you it right now. Write this down. The species is trying to evolve. And they're using your soul, and 7 billion of us, everyone you ever knew, is here right now. They all couldn't wait. Like, I want to go down in 2014 and see what happens. And then they signed you up and they hit you over the head. You fall asleep in the middle of the movie and you can't remember a thing of what you signed up for. So we make up these new age phrases. I create my own reality. That's such a cheap line. No, you're given an assignment. Your soul wanted to come, yes. And there's definitely the free will button about entering this movie. But as far as the specifics and the nature of your childhood and your parents and your body type and your health and your kids and blah, 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 those are assignments. And now the question is, can you fall in love with your fate? And the purpose of being alive as a human is to evolve our species. So this lifetime, I think it's the craziest thing that I signed up for. At a very young age, I got interested in astrology. I was so curious. I looked at my family, my sweet Jewish family, and I looked around and I was like, this is definitely not, something about this story is a little wonky. Not that I don't love them, but I was so confused. So then I began the study of asking my poor mom, why are we here? And she'd be like, oh, Deb, not that question again. I'd be eating my cereal in the morning. I'm still confused. And she's like, if you ask me that one more time. So I learned you couldn't ask everyone this deep question, but my soul came in with a very perky, can you tell, attitude, which was I wanted to understand, most of all, why I was here and how I could help you. It's very specific. I'm not doing generalities. When I do a reading or I help somebody or I'm teaching, I'm trying to really that's why I love astrology. And that's what's so wonderful about the site that we're on. How specific can I be to give you the language, English? Can't talk woo-woo all day, although I like it. I want to talk practical. So if you're one of those characters who really is slightly depressed and you can't figure out why your depression continues to follow you around, or you're just one of those really dippy characters who loves to learn all the time, but you can't really ground yourself and you feel like you're scattered, all these personality traits, you're super duper concerned about the details and you get so fixated about money, or you have so much chi that you don't ever stay around anywhere because you keep wandering, none of that's wrong. All of that is you being you. That was the assignment. But the question has to be posed, and it's such a great one. How do I help you really get comfortable in your skin? How do I help you feel really good about your soul? Because when you're done here, here's another secret. You get to the pearly gates, and they say, what's your birth date? And they've got a chart. Of course they have computers in heaven. Up comes your chart. They go, okay, how'd you do? And you go, well, let's see. I didn't have kids. No, I did have kids. Well, I didn't get married. Well, I did get married. Well, I got married 4 times. I'm a little self-conscious. I don't know how I did. And they go, we didn't want to hear about any of that external stuff. We wanted to know if you fell in love with yourself. And then you go, huh? And then they push you over the edge and go, try again. Because the ultimate exercise for you is to do you. Intimacy. Into me I see. They're going to push you over the edge if you don't figure out what did you sign up for. It's so simple. And the more you understand you, the greater compassion for all the weird people. Now tell me, do you know anybody weird? I mean, I wonder about this human nature thing. How did they come up with all 7 billion people and not one of them are the same? What were the odds? Think about this. What were the odds that in the design of creation, they wouldn't get one single being that's the same as the other one? So you, yes, I'm talking to you, right there. Come back, look back, You're so unique. I call it unique. You are so unique that you don't even understand that your soul is so determined for you to wake up. And how do you wake up? You seek counsel. That's why you're on this website. That's why you're seeking and reading. You seek counsel and you say, help me to those that have more wisdom. After 37 years, I'd like to think that I've collected a little information about astrology. I'm a psychotherapist. I've been in practice forever. And why? Because I wanted to get comfortable with me. I don't find Earth very easy. I find this place very strange. There isn't a day that goes by, get a little self-conscious saying this to people. I don't know. Is this the strangest planet you've ever been on? I said it once to this guy in the airplane, and he turned to me and he said, have you been on other planets? I was like, well, this one's strange. I don't know. This is the strangest planet I've ever been on because there's this unbelievable absence of information about why you're here. And it's not that you can get a specific answer. I'm not pretending to be one of those know-it-alls, but I can look at your chart based on your life. So I do processes where I say, let's play Jeopardy. You tell me your life story, we'll work backwards. And by virtue of the repetitive themes that reoccur, I'll be able to understand what you signed up for and what assignment you were given that said, this is the specifics in fine print. But it's really hard to read hieroglyphics, especially in Egyptian, because that's what astrology is written in. You see those charts, those round circles with all that stuff on it? We astrologers can look at that and go, got it. But you, as laymen, want someone to speak English and make it really practical, and that's what I do. But it's not just me. There's so many astrologers. I'm not one of those ones that promotes Deborah Silverman's it. There's some great practitioners out there. In fact, I think you're watching a sight of one. He has such a passion to share with you where the planets are. And my question for you is, how much do you know you? And it's simple as this. You have to ask yourself deep questions. Am I having fun? Am I being real? Some of you are loners and you don't do relationship. There's so many people now in our society that don't know how to do commitment. And especially that's true of the men. There's a large population of men right now that are scared. And there's all these women that are totally shiny and doing their thing and they're doing the yoga and they're reading all the stuff and they're waking up the men. That's not very friendly, but they're trying to like, come on, you guys. But this is the time in history, for the first time, where the pendulum has swung and the feminine principle is on fire. But she doesn't know how to be compassionate to the men because they're just simply giving us some space right now. They're letting us have a turn and we're like, really? That's all you got? Stand up. He's like, sorry, you're the one taking up all the space. So we have to learn how to dance with the men and the women right now. We have to learn how to be really generous with compassion. Yeah, I think I've done it. That's about all I want to say. I've given you my full passionate quest for you. 1, remembering who you are. 2, turning on your observer, looking back at yourself without judgment. 3, learning the language of astrology. It's my passion. How can I assist you to see your family members, even the ones you don't understand, from the place of the elements? Like, oh, if someone has no water in their chart and they can't cry and they really don't feel, wouldn't it be a gift for you to say to them, stop trying? I have this great example of my brother learned astrology from me. My dad had no air and he didn't talk. I think I made up for the whole family. He didn't talk. So I taught my brother, look, stop bugging him. You can't get someone to be something they're not, but you can. And once he gave him compassion and sat with him in silence, suddenly my dad opened up. So this is the magic of this work. Let people be who they are. That was the 3rd one. Compassion for who people are and letting them be who they are. That's the observer first observes you, then you learn the astrology language and you consider them. And the last one is you know that you're not a mistake. I promise you. Everyone here was given the assignment straight from spirit. And while it might feel to you like you wake up in the morning sometimes not feeling like you're really good or you're too good or you're insecure or you're with what's his name or what's her name, I promise you there is a design, said the astrologer, and it's masterfully put together. And whether your mind gets it or not, in your heart of hearts, when death comes to your house and it's the end of the movie, you'll look back at your life and you'll realize, wow, even the hard parts, especially the hard parts, was when I really got to see what I was made out of. I have a really good friend who's on her way out right now and I'm watching her pass and she's got this really ambivalent relationship with death. Like part of her wants to go and part of her wants to stay. And that's true of all of us. How do we come to peace with what is right now and accept the fact that death is somewhere just down the street, But the most important question I want to ask you is, can you fall in love and accept that there is a design here and Spirit has your back and you are loved? So go to my website. Such a great plug. DeborahSilvermanAstrology.com. Let me help you learn, seek wisdom, and remember, we're all in this together. No one's getting it right. But with the observer on, with kindness, with humor, it all becomes an amazing journey. I'm so glad you're here today. Thank you.